The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood Redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is Black Hollywood Live, the casting call. Featuring weekly commentary and insight from Hollywood casting directors and agents. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood Redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, the casting call.
Oh, it happened again.
You never know when to come in. It's like,
right.
Hey guys.
There we go.
I was like, where's our music?
Right. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Black Hollywood Live. This is the casting call where we take you inside the casting process. I'm your host, Tony Moore, and to my right, we have...
Hi guys, I'm Chloe Onyx.
And right across from me...
I'm Lina Green.
And we have our very special guest with us today. He is a casting director from AHC Inc. He is also an award-winning teacher and head of Killian Workshop. Killian, how are you?
What's up? How are you?
I'm happy that he's here.
I'm very happy that he's here.
I know, this is like the perfect song.
Because Killian is all knowing about how to get booked in commercials.
Exactly.
That's where the money is. That's the money.
Show me that residual check.
Exactly.
That's what everyone wants.
Exactly.
So we are very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I would have added your last name, but I would have butchered it.
I was like, say
promise.
McHugh. It's
McHugh.
McHugh.
But listen, my tongue is huge, so like it gets all wrapped up around
No
in there.
comment.
I'm
That's
sorry.
exactly what I was going to say.
Well, I mean that is
show.
No comment.
Hi, and we're back.
Let that resonate.
I know.
So, me and my big tongue. So, Killian,
Yes.
before Killian's Workshop, before you became a casting director, you were a commercial actor yourself.
So, commercial actor, and then I got into casting to segue out of waiting tables.
That is a good
I
segue.
couldn't take it anymore, and so I started in casting and really liked it. And first I was in the office part, so I was the one picking the pictures and doing the paperwork. Then I went into running camera and session directing. And from that came the workshop and then casting director.
Yeah. And you started the workshop because you noticed that actors kept making common mistakes while they're
Well, that's
in
what's
the room.
I have a video up on my website, and it's basically the way it started was 70% of the people who came into my room did not know what they were doing at all, and it was literally crushing my soul.
Yeah.
To see these people that were so bad, and I actually didn't want to start a workshop because everybody, like every camera guy, starts a workshop, and I didn't want to be that guy and trying to pay a mortgage and so Alyson of Alyson Horn Casting, which is where I work at AHC, she made me start a workshop because I was basically teaching people in the room what to do during, and she's like, do it on the side and make it a thing, because you love doing it. And so I said no. And then she said, then you can't work for me unless you do.
Oh, wow.
And so she made me start a workshop.
What was that? Yeah, that's interesting. I'm like,
Well, she just knew that I wanted to do something more, and I was directing so much in the room and teaching people that she was like, make it your thing, like actually teach people.
Yeah.
And I had the stigma of I didn't want to be just another guy with a workshop, so that was really hard to overcome.
Yeah.
And but I did it. I put together a program, and then we got some people. And what was awesome was my first class had 10 people, and in that month, 4 of them called me with bookings.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was just like, that's crazy. The last guy who called, driving down Sunset Strip, and total straight dude, frat boy. And we're both bawling. We're both crying. He's talking to me crying because it's his first booking, and I was crying on Sunset Boulevard. And I was just like, this is insane. I didn't cry at my grandmother's funeral.
Oh, wow.
She was awful. But like I'm crying because this guy's booked, and I was like, "This is a thing now."
And not
This
for
is what I
nothing,
do.
but I follow you on Twitter, and I swear to God, every week he's like, "Oh, so and so just booked." I'm like, "Damn, how can I be
they're-
down?"
they're
Like
right.
everyone you train is booking, and I'm
They
like,
book.
"Wow,
Yeah,
that's
they
incredible."
book. And that's one of the things when I first started doing it. I realized the second that I started teaching, I was just like, wow, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Wow.
You know, everybody has a thing.
Wow. Was Alyson the first person who you worked with when you got into casting? Or
No, I
was
worked with
it-
everybody.
You worked with a couple of different.
I worked with everybody. Now some of the newer ones I haven't, but I worked with, well, you were just at 200 South. I worked with all of them, and,
Yeah.
and Lorraine Mayfield and Lisa Fields and just everybody.
Oh, yeah, those are some of the
And
big ones.
Michael Sanford, I was his main guy for a long time, and I just in casting, you kind of bounce around.
Yeah.
So
Of
I
course.
worked for basically everybody.
Yeah.
But with Alyson,
And
that's
then
stuck.
what happened with Alyson, then we just really gelled,
Mm-hmm.
and we got each other's humor, and we would see the sides, and we would get it right away, and it just really worked out, and I never left.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you've
I
been
never
there for a number of years now.
Long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, long time. I think I started the workshop in 05, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's been 9 years now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, what is the most common mistake that you saw that people were making once they were in the audition room?
Well,
Or is there?
I
I'm
think
sure there's
any
multiple.
camera person,
That's a
Like,
million.
where do I start?
if you ask anybody in casting, any session director, any casting director, the thing that they would say is mostly unpreparedness.
Yeah.
For sure. But what I felt as the director in the room is that people spend thousands of dollars, like $100,000 at the University of Washington Drama School, and they're teaching the same things they
Seriously.
taught the Barrymores 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And which is fine, I guess, but that doesn't help you in this city. And the thing that I feel people mostly do incorrectly is apply their theatrical training to the commercial room.
Right.
And it's really a completely different, separate entity.
How
Yeah.
so?
Because it's really, commercials aren't really about talent of the actor that booked it. Not to take away from anybody's talent,
Yeah.
but we need you to eat this freaking chip.
Yeah.
And
It's the best chip
look
you ever had.
empowered.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not listening to us because you're channeling, Daniel Day-Lewis.
But isn't that
And
our
I'm
art?
just trying not to blow my brains out by 5:30 in the afternoon, which
Right.
is our goal in casting. That's everybody's goal in casting.
When
Just
you
eat the
s-
chip.
The chip rice.
See, that's crazy because when you say it's not about talent, so are y'all specifically going on the look, or
Well,
is
no.
it
So let me clarify that because then everybody will
Yeah.
tweet me. No. What do you mean it's not
about
We're
talent?
looking for talented people for sure, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is people are confusing true acting ability with bookings in a room. It has very little to do with that.
Yeah.
Commercials have a lot to do with look in the final say and how you get picked in the room, but there is definitely talent to get to that booking.
Right.
And you have to show your talent, and you have to make choices, and you have to be prepared,
Yeah.
and you have to think of things, and have funny buttons, and have things to do, and show what you bring to the party.
Yeah.
But it's not traditional talent, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You could be. Well, I won't say her name, but there's a huge.
say it?
No, I won't. I don't think I should because of my next statement. But there was a huge A-list person who used to come in for us all the time, and she never got a call back.
Yeah.
Because commercial world is different,
Yeah.
than theatrical world. And so you don't have, what I say in my class is you don't have to be Daniel Day. You don't have to have his talent. You don't have to have Meryl Streep's talent to book commercials.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is a good thing,
But there's
but
an
I'm not
art
saying,
to
I'm not
it.
saying that we're purposely seeking out people without talent.
Yeah, no. I just want to clarify because when you say that, my brain's going,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
you
wait
just
a
come
minute.
in and they just pick
No,
someone.
I just mean that people are concentrating on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Is what I meant.
Because
to
people
say.
come in, actors are serious people.
Yeah.
And it's like my
Serious.
craft.
Well,
Yeah.
what happens is, and I get it because I am an actor still in my mind, and and that's where my heart is, and I dedicate my life to actors. But what I'm saying is, as an actor, we don't get to do our craft every day, and we desperately want to.
Yeah.
And so we get into this callback room or this first call for this chip commercial, and we want to show everything we have because we
Yes.
train so much and we so want to do this,
Yeah.
and then we miss the point of. I needed you to look empowered as you
Ate this
and
chip.
just show it in your eyes.
So
Yeah.
is,
Oh,
is
and we
commercial,
told you 4 times and no one's listening because I want to book this commercial.
So is
know.
commercial acting real acting compared to like the theatrical? Because I know a lot of people, especially in the arts, they feel some type of way like, oh, commercial acting isn't real acting. It's
Well, I have a real big problem with people who differentiate, I'm a commercial actor, I'm an actor. It's all acting. It's just, we need different things. You're not the star of a commercial. The product is the star.
Yes.
I mean, look at Sofia Vergara. They have her running around like a puppy dog after this Pepsi can, and she's Sofia Vergara. Clearly, that can is the star of that show.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it takes a tremendous amount of skill and talent to book a commercial, but that's separate than the skill and talent it takes to book a sitcom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they're looking for different things, and you can't overpower the product. And there's a different, it's just a whole different world.
Yeah.
But they're still equally valid. But I know lots of people who booked 30 commercials and aren't on a show and don't have any credits, and then I know people who can't book a commercial but they're on every show.
Yeah.
So it's a different world.
Yeah.
And that's really what I concentrate in the workshop is teaching you the differences.
And in saying that, do you think it hinders a commercial actor to get on those shows if they're always on television?
No.
Does it help?
Oh, I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Going into that, how about those commercial actors that are the main people who are always on, like the Windy Girl and
Yeah.
Flo? Are those actors who are hindered by that, or is that something that can make their career in the long run?
Well, that's a hard question for me to answer. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a theatrical agent or a theatrical casting director, but Flo does lots of other things. She's an amazing actor. And I think having that spokesperson role is amazing. You had mentioned the Verizon guy before.
Yeah.
They had an exclusive contract with him. He wasn't allowed to do anything.
Yeah.
But he made a lot of money
Yeah.
and worked for 9 years.
Oh, yeah.
So
Or like
now
the
he's
Pine
good.
Sol Lady. I've been
Yeah.
seeing her since I was like 3.
Yeah.
Or
And
the
I'm like,
Snapple
I'm a
Lady.
grown ass woman. The Pine
Yeah.
Sol Lady's
Snapple
not
Lady.
changed,
Yeah.
you know?
No,
You don't
she's
remember the
awesome. I
Snapple
love
Lady?
her.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah. She does other things.
Yeah, she did.
Who?
The Snapple Lady
Oh, yeah.
from like way back in the day.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yes.
that's a while ago, too.
I used to want
Yeah.
to be a Fanta girl.
Oh, Juana Fanta.
Snapple Girl was so awesome because everybody thought she was just a secretary.
Just a secretary, yeah.
For them.
Yeah.
But she was a full-on actor, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
If I'm not
wow.
mistaken.
Because when you as an actor, when you see those people in those roles or for the commercial, like
Yeah.
the spokesperson for this and that, you start to wonder, yeah, good for you because you're getting those residuals, you have steady work, but can you do anything else? Does everyone see you just as
I think that's a
that
case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
The Verizon guy wasn't allowed to, from what
Yeah.
I understand.
Right.
But like we said, Flo does
Flo
other
does
things.
stuff.
bunch of other
The
things.
Snapple
Yeah.
Lady did stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, going back to what you're saying about being prepared, what can an actor do to be prepared before going into the room?
Well, know your lines. I never say memorize because that doesn't work, but memorizing it isn't acting. But know your lines, familiarize yourself, understand the product, understand the company and what they stand for, and have choices when you go into the room. Think of things that aren't necessarily on the page.
But what do you do? Because my experience in commercial acting is it's always on the spot improv. Like, okay, great, take your picture. Okay, we want you to do this. Go.
Well, first of all,
That's exactly what happened to me
You're
today.
insulting
no,
him.
no,
This is like
no. I just have to do a
art.
disclaimer. As a casting director for commercials, we never ask for improv because that's against SAG rules. So we
Is
would
it?
never
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
you to do that. Now,
You just got somebody in trouble. Somebody lost their job today because of you.
She said no
I'm
names.
sure the way you described it doesn't happen.
So explain.
but
Yeah, because I need to get this
if
breakdown.
you feel free to make it your own in that room and throw out things, we can't stop you.
Right.
You know,
don't
and
ask
if that
them.
helps you to get
So,
that part.
I'm just okay. So tell me, all right. You guys should now see Killian's opening.
But Killian's trying to cover himself before he goes.
Okay, so if you come into the room and you slate your name, and okay, they tell you one part of the audition. That's what they put out there. That's what you know about.
Right.
And then they go, okay, now sit down and do A, B, and C, which is not what you knew about. That's not considered like an improv, or is it? Or
I'm sure it is by SAG
Killian's
purposes,
like-
but that's why we say we're not asking you to improv, but if you'd like to make it your own in this moment as you sit down,
Yes.
that's fine.
Listen to his wording. Make it your own.
Killian's trying to keep his
Because
job.
the thing is, we want you to. Commercials are very different than theatrical world in that they want range and they want these things. We don't really necessarily need range. We don't need Daniel Day-Lewis in the room, but we do want to see who we're getting.
Yeah.
Well, it's not us. The clients always want to see.
Yeah.
So the clients tell us they want this certain thing, and then we have to go find it. And we want you still to be you and show off your talents in the room.
yeah.
And so if that means throwing in a funny button or something like that, I don't necessarily think that's a terrible thing. SAG does. I think it's a terrible thing.
Like they were not prepared. That's not fair.
Well, not that they weren't prepared. What the original rule is why you can't improvise in a commercial audition is because the clients used to just steal what you'd say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that makes sense.
And it was a big deal back when this all started.
Okay.
But that's not what's happening now. What's happening now is directors want funny people. They want improvising.
Yes.
They want to see who they're getting.
Yeah.
And the SAG rule is you're not allowed to show us who you are or what you're getting.
So how do those conflict? Because I know last year this time improvising was a huge thing. Like they wouldn't even call you in the room unless you had
Second
improv.
City Groundlings,
Exactly.
UCB. They
I went
asked
to
for
Groundlings. I was like,
Are they
I
supposed to
can't
ask
be
for
left
that?
out.
Is that against the SAG rules?
Well, no, it's not against the SAG rule. I'm just saying, and I don't want this to be a whole big thing about SAG, but what I'm just saying
They're
is,
gonna call.
for our purpose,
Yeah.
our directors want to see what you bring to the party.
Yeah.
Right.
SAG won't allow our actors to show off the best of their abilities because they're trying to protect them from this original
Got it. Where it stemmed
rule.
from.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what needs to happen is SAG needs to sit down with people and say, what do you need? How can we still protect people? How can but you still need to be able to show off your talents.
Exactly.
And SAG hasn't updated this law since it started in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's the big problem. So we have to come up with ways to make this okay.
Yeah.
So
You know?
when you arrive to
Because we're just trying to we're just trying to help you get the job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
SAG says you're not allowed to improvise. Our directors won't pick you unless you improvise. That's a big problem.
Yeah.
And it's crazy when
And
you
so
it's crazy when you have those casting directors that you can tell they want you to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's the ones that are just like, here's the paper,
yeah.
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's every
something.
industry though. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
there's actually great people at the DMV.
You know what?
Sometimes there's not.
The person who took my photo was really nice to me.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That should
I got
be
a
in your
good
top
photo and
5.
everything. She liked me.
Good for you.
So I think that's every industry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know.
yeah.
Okay.
So once you get to your audition and you get there and you have your sides, and there's usually like a board that tells you exactly how the commercial is and where you fit and everything like that. What should an actor do, especially if you haven't seen that information beforehand? What tips can you give, when you're looking at the sides and you're noticing everything, what tips can you give to prepare them before you enter the room? Because I know a lot of people, especially me, I get there and suddenly I'm like, okay, I'll go in like this. And then I get in the room and I'm just like, ooh, I don't know. Like I'm second guessing it. Like I'm trying to
Well,
figure
we do
out what you
group
want to see.
explanations in commercial world.
Yeah.
And so the main thing is to listen to the group explanation.
Mm-hmm.
We're going 99.999% of the things you're going to need to know, we're going to tell you up front.
Yeah.
We're not trying to trick anybody in casting.
Right.
We want everybody to do well because if you don't do well, then we don't look like we know what we're doing.
Right.
So every time you enter a casting office, you're representing my ability, like my casting office. You're representing my ability to do my job by picking you.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're going to tell you everything up front. It's just actors, because of the nerves and everything we just talked about, aren't listening. Or they're saying, this is my time, and I'm going to show them that I do this really good Chuck Norris. You know what I mean? I don't know where that came from, but you know what I'm
Overconfident.
saying?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so they have their way of doing, I'm going to do this because I want to do this in the room.
Yeah.
And it's really not about that.
Yeah.
Like when I first got to town, I knew nothing about how this worked. And my goal for the first year of being in Hollywood was to make whatever person I was in the room with break character and burst out laughing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so that was my objective.
How did it work?
All the time. It
Yeah.
worked
Oh,
great.
that's good.
But I didn't book anything. Because I didn't care what they were saying for me to do. I just wanted to make sure that she broke up or you broke up, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I broke them up.
Yeah.
And then I was broke.
My biggest thing is when you go into an audition and it's a group audition.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have,
Yes.
other people in the room with you.
Say it.
The one thing that frustrates me is that one person that wants to be Daniel Day-Lewis or Meryl Streep, and it's taking over the entire audition.
Or
And they're stepping on your lines, the person's line, and I'm like,
Get your life.
Or they're,
Right,
or they're that
Yeah.
person who books a lot of commercials, so they think they know everything
I know it
already.
all.
So it's
Yeah.
like, well, you do just follow my lead and stuff, and it's like,
it's like, have a seat.
When
So
did you-
what advice can you give in that situation where you're just like everyone else trying to book the job, and you're also, trying to show what you can do with this material, but you have actor A who is trying to overshadow everything.
Well, I talk about that in class also, is nobody can screw up your audition but you.
Okay.
So we're not robots. Everybody has a different thing. Everybody comes from a different past.
Yeah.
They could have just gotten an offender bender on the 101. They could just found out they had cancer today. It could be her first day in Los Angeles. She has no idea why she's in that room. It's a total fluke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you need to do your things and make sure
Yeah.
you're hitting your mark or hitting your line and you're hitting your cue. And casting's supposed to figure that other part out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're supposed to cut from behind camera and say, okay, so blah, 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 you're messing up. Please let him say his line. It's very important because we have to make you eat the chip.
Yeah.
You know, blah, blah, blah. And I actually had that happen in a callback as an actor. And I tell this story in class about being prepared. It's a person I've known for a very long time, and so we were a couple. And this goes back to the improvising thing again. This was a huge campaign. It was the biggest campaign that I booked, and it ran for 2 years, and I had to book it both years.
Wow.
And I was the only actor that they used both times. And so I'm sitting there, and we're a couple, and I was really happy because I knew her. And action, and she just went, and there's no lines. So in the actual car commercial for 2 years, all we had to do, the four of us were in a Jeep sort of a thing, we had to get out and count to 3 in our heads and make sure the doors all slammed at the same time.
Oh my god.
So that's all you had to do in the commercial.
Oh, wow.
In the audition, we were a couple and we're going to the beach and blah, 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 and
All
we're in
this
love
extra
and all this
stuff.
stuff,
Yeah.
right? So that's what I'm saying. They want to see.
Why is it like
Why do they do
that?
that? They don't know what they're looking for.
Seriously, when I see commercials and they're just like that, sitting in the car, I'm like, that's so easy to book. Why can't I have my
You have to go through a
commercial?
whole
You
lot of
gotta go
hoops to
through-
get there.
Exactly.
And so on action, she just went, and I was just sitting there like, oh my God. And she just, so cut, and the director says, okay, let's have a little bit more equal banter. Action. She does it again, and then the director was like, can Killian say something, please? In this next thing. And she was just like, oh. So then we did it, and then we got out into the lobby, and she was like, I look like a crazy person. And I was like, I know. What did you do? And she was like, I had the biggest Starbucks before this audition. And so she was all jacked.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I say in class, like, that's a part of being prepared. Like,
Yeah.
don't drink when you're... She's like 90 pounds, a tiny thing.
Oh, no.
Don't drink a gallon of coffee
Yeah.
before you want to
jumping
go
on
to this
walls.
callback, because we're already heightened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, in
yeah,
that
no,
moment.
yeah. I was excited because today I was telling you guys earlier I had an audition. I was just so excited. I told my boss like, "Can I leave early? Thank you." So, you know, like I was like high off of life. But and I actually want to ask you this too. I came into a situation when I got there where everyone else didn't know how to do what you were supposed to do, and then I felt like I was kind of being bitchy, like well, let me see you do it. Because if I have to be in the room with you and it affects my ability to do what I have to do, right? Like, how do you handle it? And it's like the casting director too. I had to say to her, well, do you mind if da-da-da? And it seems like I'm being extra or more than what you should be. So how do you handle that?
Well, that's a really delicate situation, but your situation was different because you had a special skill. I don't know if we're allowed to say it
Yeah.
because of
You
we
can
just
say
went
it
on
was
that
it was
thing.
double
Double-
dutch.
Okay, so she had the double dutch, and so that's a specific thing.
Yeah.
So if you're going into the room with other double dutchers and they don't know how, then you better speak up.
Yeah.
Because you're going to look bad.
You're gonna tell on, so
Exactly.
you're gonna be the whistleblower
They,
to
they
tell.
were like, there's a term for when you can't turn, and we call it double-handed. And everyone was double-handed. So I'm just like,
I can at least turn. Like that's my
Yeah.
job when I'm going for a double dutch, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm turning, guys. Here
Well,
we
that's
go.
the problem.
I
and
wouldn't
that's
be
why
there.
it's so hard in casting because everybody says they can do something
Yeah.
until they
And
get
they-
there and they
yeah.
can't do it.
Exactly.
So in that situation, you should definitely speak up. But
Okay.
you can't be a person walking around in a lobby saying, "Do you know your lines? Because I think I'm going in with you." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you can't be that
Yeah.
person.
Exactly.
So it's a delicate thing, and
Yeah.
I've had instances where, because in class people are like, well, we would get to work with the person outside.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. And I did a thing, you could tell that they were bringing us in 3 at a time. And I went up to the 2 other actors who were clearly going to be my partners, and then I said, do you want to run lines? And they both said no,
ooh.
which I thought was
Shady.
odd. And I thought, yeah, because, I thought that was a good thing to do to
Yeah,
prepare.
of course.
But they didn't, and that wasn't part of their process. So you can't. So I just
People have
walked
different
away.
processes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. So, but in your situation today,
Yeah. And what
That's a
happened
big
was
deal.
everyone was practicing. So it was like 10 of us all practicing. So I really got to see up front, like, who can do it, who can't. So I'm like, can I see you two together? I really felt like a
You turned
casting
into the
director.
casting director.
I was sitting on the side like, okay, great. Let you two come. And it's so funny because in the end, I was just like, all right, can I have these people turn for me? And she was just looking like, okay, well, does anyone else mind? And they were like, no, she can turn for all of us. She's really good. So they were all backing me up. But I was like, guys, I feel so bad saying this, but I really need this person and that person. So it was so funny. And then when she saw my skills, she was just like, okay, like now I see.
Yeah.
But at first I was like, damn, she's going to think like I'm just,
How do
no,
we-
that's the problem with casting is that, everybody that she called in, I'm sure, said that they are expert double dutchers.
Yes.
That's the problem.
How do they check
And
that?
then we get there. Well, all we have to go by is your resume.
Yeah.
So
Videos.
then you all get there, and then so now she's, let's say in a day, we could see 100 people.
Yeah.
Okay, 40 to 50 of those people now can't do this.
Yeah.
And now we're screwed.
And we're at the end of the
because-
day. Mind you, my call was like 4:45.
Yeah.
But does it reflect bad on her for her being the drill sergeant?
No.
Like, how does the casting?
No, that's what I'm saying. If this was
reflect?
just a thing about lines where she's walking around the
Yeah.
lobby going, do you know your lines because I'm going in with you? That's not so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in this instance, I think that she should have taken control because they're going to make her look bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't have to yell at people or be mean, which I'm sure she wasn't.
Yeah, no.
Get over here.
But
They
you can
all love
definitely-
me.
Yeah,
I was just
exactly.
like, I'm so sorry, but you can't turn for me.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
It's just not going to work out.
No, I think that's totally fine, and I think
Yeah.
that's what you should do.
So
Yeah.
be honest on your resumes,
Yeah.
and if you can't do it,
Well,
stay
because
home.
this is really true. They can sue you. If you say that you can do something and then you book this job and you get to set and you can't do that thing, technically the production company can sue you for a day's filming, which is $100,000 minimum to
Whoa.
Yeah.
and so
Oh my gosh.
it can go badly
That's
for you.
But
serious stuff.
how often does that happen? Not really, right?
Not a lot, but
No, but
when
it's
I was
there.
working in the offices part back when I first started, a famous person's son got booked, and I think they kind of booked him because he was a famous person's son.
Yeah.
And he said he could do something, and he got on set, and we got a call at 6 a.m. from a screaming production executive screaming at us because he lied.
Yeah.
But it was a driving situation. They didn't rent us a place to go and see that he could drive this certain machine. So we just took his word, and then he got to set and couldn't do it.
So how? Okay, because I'm glad you brought that up because that's in a situation of someone you know or who you know. Because let's be honest, who you know can take you really far in this life. So one of my questions is, knowing the casting director, how does that affect your career? Like, do you have to take classes with a casting director in order to get booked, or with someone?
No, so here's a lot of people we should probably start from the beginning. Okay, so
The way beginning. Of,
Coca-Cola or whoever
Yeah.
has a product. They decide they want to increase their profits, so they put the word out to ad agencies, and ad agencies come up with different what's the word I'm looking for? Campaigns. They submit them, and they all bid on that job, and then Coke picks whatever one they like. Then that ad agency puts it out to production companies, and they all bid and say, we can bring it in for this much and this much and this much. So then they pick one. Then production companies usually have a string of directors on hand, and then they all bid. And so everybody's kind of auditioning all the way down the line.
Yeah.
And then they pick a director, and then the director usually has a relationship with a certain casting director. Casting director's only power is calling people in.
Yeah.
That's all we have. We don't pick the people. People thank me for their callback all the time. I have no say. What happens is we get told by the director what he or she wants. We bring you into the room. We try to capture that on film if you will let us by listening to us and doing what we ask you to do. Then we send out the link of what we just did all day. It goes to the ad agency and the director
Okay.
separately. Ad agency picks their favorites. Director picks his favorites or her favorites. They send us the list. That's how you get a callback.
okay.
So is that the real person we need to know is the director?
So the director has the power.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now, in the callback room, we don't jump in casting and say, I know Tony, he's really good, blah, blah, blah. That's not really our place. But because when you have a relationship with directors, they'll look at us and we can influence.
Okay.
So they'll hold up a headshot and turn to me and I'll say,
No.
or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we don't really have any say in who they book.
So if the person is like a terrible actor, but they know the director and director's gun-ho, like they just have to be in this commercial, is that person more prone to actually getting booked because of that?
Well, every job has a form of nepotism. You know,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
a carpenter, it's the guy's son and blah, 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 you know, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So directors, Hollywood's the same way. So if
Yeah.
a director's worked with somebody before and he knows that she's funny, he's going to tell us to call her in for this spot. He doesn't necessarily tell the ad agency that he's worked with her before. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. But maybe he just wants her as a ringer in the back pocket so that he knows this one's going
Yeah.
to deliver.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So he can suggest, hey, I really like her. And then it's ultimately up to
The
the
ad.
people at the ad agency and the director make their picks.
Okay.
Then the ad agency has a sit-down meeting with the head of marketing for Coca-Cola or whoever, and they're the ultimate pickers.
Okay.
You know,
So,
Yeah.
but
when-
usually they go with who the director wants and things
Okay.
like that.
When there's a callback and the actor's going back in for a callback, would you say it's good for the actor to wear the same thing?
You should
to do
always wear the same thing, always, always, always.
And do the same thing?
Unless they change the specs for clothing, always wear exactly what you wore to the first call. You should do the same general audition, but you should never do the same thing twice ever.
Yeah.
So if you came up with a funny button, don't use that same funny button
Yeah.
because then they
Right.
think that's all you have.
Yeah.
So you should have lots of buttons and things
Yeah.
and other alternative things that you want to say. If don't force them in the room, but because you're in the room with another person or another scene or whatever, acting is reacting and improvising is listening and being in that scene. But have things in your back pocket to use.
Yeah.
But never use the same joke twice.
Yeah. So does everyone that auditioned that day, does everyone go on tape and get sent to the directors and the ad agents? Because I've always wondered that if like you as a casting director would then review and go, ooh, he
yeah.
wasn't, I'm just gonna slide him out and move the other people over. Like, so everyone gets
So
seen.
everyone, that's actually a SAG rule. I'm pretty sure that's a SAG rule. Once they're on tape, they have to stay on tape.
Okay.
Really? You
So
can't
we
cut
send them
anybody like,
all.
oh my God, they were just awful. Cut them out. No?
You don't.
I imagine in the city probably it's happened, but I could never recall an instant.
Like, this
Do you-
doesn't embarrass my career. You know what I'm saying?
Do y'all cut if someone messes up, or is that the whole tape is going?
Well, no,
to the
we can
client?
cut and do,
Okay.
Yeah.
do
Do
it
things. Yeah.
over.
Because
Yeah, we edit.
I've been that person where I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, can I start
No, it used to be
again?
really
Yeah.
hard because we had these big tapes and everything, and editing was really hard. Now it's all on computer, so
Yeah.
it's very easy for us to edit your thing and make you look good, and we do that quite frequently.
And what if that does happen? If someone's in the room and obviously nerves are taking over and they're starting and they just need to go back and just start over, is that okay to do, or do you?
You mean stop in the middle of a scene?
Yeah.
No, that's not good. You have
mean,
to show them that you can forge
through.
on through ahead
Just
and
keep going?
and
Yeah.
recover.
Yeah.
And then we'll call cut. That's our job.
Yeah.
So you got to make it work, and then we'll say, you know what? Let's start over. Who cares?
Okay.
Or we won't because it's not as bad as you think.
Yeah. So I know. I mean, a lot of people feel like, oh, I just need to start over for their benefit, but. You know,
I mean, you
don't
never know,
if it's
like-
right
Yeah.
to do that, if
I
it's
think
going to
you're
hurt your
supposed to, like,
chances.
pause, regroup, and just do it again. Like, act like nothing happened, I
Yeah.
think. Is that right?
Pause, regroup.
No.
Yeah, pause, like,
Chloe
If
does
you
a
flub a
class.
line, if you
Taking a
flub
lot
a
of
line,
classes.
you can say, I'm going to take that back and do that line again. Not take it back as in, I'm going to start from the beginning, mean I'm going to say that line over.
Oh, you say I'm gonna take that. So
Just
you can
say,
just say I'm gonna take that
I'm gonna
back.
take that
See,
back.
this is a good refresher
Yeah.
course right here.
And then,
Free class.
then re-say that line. And
about
then we'll
Killian.
say from behind camera, oh, you know what, let's cut and start over, who cares? Or we
Yeah.
won't because nobody cares by then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're allowed, but to just cut a scene is really not good protocol.
Wow.
Try not to.
Well,
No taking.
in the beginning, so the slate. That's an important. I know that's an important aspect of the audition. How important?
Well, I'm
is
going to
it?
say that's an important aspect of a lot of classes in this city.
Yeah.
It is not an important aspect. It drives me crazy
Really?
that people teach it. There is nothing to teach. You say your name. It is a name.
So frowning and saying your name,
So-
like if I
Yeah,
said Chloe
I
Onyx.
would look as if I wanted to be in the room.
Yeah, okay. See, there are
I
notes.
would smile in my eyes, always have a smile in my eyes. You don't have to smile during a slate. You can if you want.
Smizing.
You can do whatever you want.
You slating character?
But
Smize,
no,
guys.
never. Not in commercials because that makes you look crazy.
Wait, what is it you said?
Don't slate in character.
They want to know that I'm normal person, and now I'm acting when you say action.
Okay.
So it's just a name, and these classes have you so screwed up and so worried about the slate, and how can you possibly do well in a room when they have you freaked out about your name?
Yeah.
It's a name.
I do have a question about that because they have said, they're watching 100 tapes.
Yeah.
And they can see you. They say once you say hi, they know if they want to pick you or not. And sometimes that's what I've heard. I've heard this from some casting directors.
Is that true in
Because it's
commercial?
100 people. So do you think that has any truth?
I'm not saying they watch all of your audition. I'm saying be pleasant, show who you are, say hello, or not. Like people are like, should I say hi? Should I wave? No one cares. You know what I mean? It's your name. They call you number 14 on the callback sheet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're 14, 23.
We're humans, okay?
And so,
No, you're catcall.
Number 14.
in casting, we forget about that a lot, the human angle. But sure.
If you want to think so.
But what I'm saying is look like you want to be in the room,
Yeah.
but you don't have to practice your name into a mirror for 6 months or do these other things that they teach in these classes because they call you number 43 or 52.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna rest a 5-spot national campaign on the way you said your name. That's
Right.
not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Which is what they teach in a lot of these classes. But you should represent yourself obviously. You know what I mean? There's some people who have gimmicks and they actually work and they're funny.
Yeah.
But that's like if I did that
Shticks.
same thing that person does, it wouldn't work because that's just his thing
Yeah.
that he happens to do during a slate. It's mostly just say your name. And I have huge directors that come and guest talk at my classes, like huge directors, and every Q&A we have, an actor will ask that question, and this is every time the director does this to me.
Because they teach us
And then-
so much.
I know. And then
So
he,
much
said, and
info.
he says, and then the next question is, why are they asking me about their slate? And
'Cause he doesn't
it's because
care.
They don't
Crazy.
care.
Wow.
It's so many commercial classes that teach that the slate is so
so
important.
So important.
I know.
Can
And
I
it's not-
ask a
Can
question?
the voice from the booth,
Yeah.
the random voice from the booth ask a question?
It's like
Yes,
God
Steven.
coming
Killian's
back.
like-
Steven
kind
loves
of
to do this.
on the
Go ahead.
on the opposite side of the spectrum, what are some immediate deal breakers, do you think, when people enter the casting room from the time of beginning and ending their audition?
Well, commercials, that's a big. It's a good question because it's so different from theatrical world. There is protocol about the callback area and all that stuff, and basically the director is trying to see if he could stomach you for a day. This is a direct quote from a director for me to tell my class. So I'm not
Wow.
being.
So now you're telling
Yeah.
the world what the world should know.
I'm not being just awful casting person, which I describe casting as we're professional mean girls, which is what I think we do for a
Popular.
living. And so, but no, they're trying to see how you're going to be on set all day. The last thing the director wants to worry about is the talent because he
Yeah.
has too many other things. The agency's there, everybody's there, there's all this pressure, he has to get in at a certain time.
Yeah.
And so the last thing he wants to worry about is the talent. So an immediate deal breaker is coming into that room and thinking it's all about you and just, not listening to direction and showing off because it's my time. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like I go back to the chip. We just need you to eat the chip.
Yeah.
And you're going to get
Just
the same amount of
chill.
money. Just
Yeah.
eat the chip,
Just eat it.
and look like a normal person.
Exactly.
So one of the mantras in my class is hide the crazy. Because all artists are crazy.
Yes.
I know we're not supposed to, but I'm batshit crazy. And I don't apologize for it. I
Yeah.
am because we all are.
Yeah.
But in that room, it's not about that. It's about the Pepsi can or the Lexus car or whatever. So you got to hide the crazy and do what they're asking you to do. Still be true to yourself. Still come in with choices.
Yeah.
But show the director that you're going to be somebody who's easy to work with.
Yeah. Is it important to dress a certain if they're looking for a hipster look or a very all-American look, or how important is how you look and dress and if you should have props and things like that?
Can I piggyback something on that?
Yeah. Did you like my last
God
answer?
again.
Did that help you the last
No,
answer?
yeah, I definitely enjoyed that. But I want to piggyback on Tony's question because one time when I was having headshots taking, someone was like, oh, you don't have a red shirt for Coca-Cola? Oh, you don't have a blue shirt for Pepsi? And they were like phasing me out, and I was just like, I don't really think that
No.
matters.
No. Here's what matters. Wear what we tell you to wear.
Right.
If we say, we had a thing where
Casual.
it's casual upscale or business, all those things, wear those things. We had a client that said they wanted women in only, I think it was gray suit kind of blouse thing. And people show up in all kind of different colors. The client said gray.
Gray.
So that's not going to help you. And then I had a huge director come to my class who said he feels it's just completely disrespectful to his process.
Yeah.
They're smart enough to see you in a tuxedo. When we put out spec as tuxedo, but you show up in gym attire.
Right.
They can see you.
Yeah.
They have the ability to do that, but why should they when 98 other people wore a tux?
Right.
Yeah.
So it just shows a dedication.
And a strike against you for
and it
that,
is,
right?
Yeah, because it's showing the director, I didn't really care what you wanted from me. So it just helps them because commercials are visual. It has to read instant. So if we need a guy in a tux, I need to see what you look like in a tux.
Right.
You know?
What about these broad ones? Because sometimes I get so confused when I see hipster, I see sophisticated chic. It's like all these words that are describing what you should wear, and you're like, what is that? I look it up, and it's like, is
Google
that
Images can sometimes be your friend, or it can work
and I'm
against you.
like, is this sophisticated chic?
Well, that's the thing. You could call your agent and say, what do you think this means? That's what your agent's for, you know? We put out basically the same. It's upscale casual or casual business attire. You know, you don't need a headshot with a big phone or, you know, with a stethoscope around you.
Yeah.
You don't need to bring props.
Yeah.
If we need props, we'll generally have them. But it's really important to dress the category.
Yeah.
You know, if we put out hipster now, we just go to Silver Lake. We don't even...
That's what I tell my
Always
friends that
hipster.
all the time. I'm always like, just think Silver Lake.
Yeah.
Wow.
But not everybody knows
But
what
unless you
Silver
live in
Lake
Silver Lake,
is.
we're not even going to call you in now. Because
Wow.
What is Silver Lake? Like, I know it's a place,
It's a
but like, I don't
place.
know how
It's a
people
place.
dress.
Come on, no one's really from LA in LA.
But like, what if you're
what
not
is
from?
Silver Lake? That could be the next show.
Well, what if you're not from LA? You're like, you come out here like, what's Silver Lake? I don't know what that
See,
is.
that's my point. No one
Like,
here
nobody
who wants
knows
to
what-
be in acting is really from LA. So it's just like, how the hell am I supposed to know what Silver Lake means?
You better travel around and see
Call
the
your
different parts.
agent.
Call my agent.
Call your agent. Ask them.
I have a question more on the financial end, and a lot of people don't know that there is a lot of money to be made in commercial acting. And even when I first came here, I took a class with someone, and they were just like, this is the way to build your capital, to spend on all these other things you want to do in your career, to take these classes that never end, you know, with your coaches. And I've just noticed a little bit of a shift of, I'm SAG, and I know when you book a national, the big thing is like, oh my God, you're gonna make a shitload of money when you do that commercial. No, I'm so serious, thousands of dollars, and then you're gonna get the residual. And I feel like a lot of people just aren't educated on residuals, on buyouts, and then also my question is, are a lot more commercials now doing buyouts as opposed to residuals?
I'm seeing that.
and-
No, what they're doing is more commercials are doing non-union than ever
That's
before.
what I was.
And so, but that's the whole.
I said something to somebody about that. I was like, what's going on with these commercials?
People talk about it as if it's an isolated case. It's the problem with America. I mean, there's union busting all throughout the country.
Yeah,
So,
it's
and nobody
crazy.
links it to what we do for a living because we're just about us. And it's the same thing that's happening in Wisconsin, and the same thing that's happening in. They just voted it down in Tennessee, the Volkswagen Union, because they're union busting, so that we don't have proper medical, and we don't get residuals, and we don't get the money and the salaries that we should.
Yeah.
But the corporations are making more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
So it's affecting actors, but it's a countrywide problem. And so, just like everywhere else, commercials are going non-union because they
lot
don't
of
have to deal with SAG. They don't have to deal. They can now. I can ask them to improvise in a commercial audition because there's no SAG rules.
So do you
But
feel
that
like it's
also
getting
means that they
worse?
might not pay you.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
not-
And so
Yeah.
there's no restrictions or there's no safeties for you when you get on set. You get there and you have to do what they say, and they could pay you or they could not.
So percentage-wise, how many commercials that
It's
you
hard
do?
to say percentage, but like I would say at least 40% of the commercial auditions out there are non-union.
I have to ask, do you think it's better for an act? I'm SAG eligible. Do you think it's better for an actor like me to
You should
go
stay SAG
or-
eligible forever, as long as you can, until they make you.
Oh,
Then
you
can
just
vote.
thank you.
And then, no, you should. And then FICOR is a thing that's such a touchy subject.
Yeah.
So, in casting's point of view, we love FICOR because
Really?
that means you work to get into the union. You're a seasoned actor. You know what you're doing, but we can bring you in for these other things.
How do you get FICOR? Can you talk about
you just call them and say, I want to be FICOR.
Yeah,
And then they yell
but
at
it's
you.
so
and say that,
no. When you go to SAG and like they have these little orientations and they talk about it, it's like you've gone on to the dark side.
Oh yeah, no,
it's
they're
like
Is it
very
bad?
against it.
because getting SAG is like such a code of honor.
Yeah.
You're SAG, you've made it. You're where Holly and everybody else is. You
You ain't making that Holly
you ain't
money.
making that Holly money.
Yeah.
But to get that honor or work that hard for that, and then you're just like, well, I nix it. I'd rather work for non-union, which is breaking up the union, which is working against SAG. So
But can you do union if you're FICOR?
Yes,
so
but you basically
rule is
kiss
you
any
can't
SAG
vote.
award goodbye.
Yeah, you can't. Well, you can't vote either in the SAG things. So the contracts or anything. So it's a personal thing. I don't get into it. If you want to go that route, that's what you can do. Yeah. But for casting's point of view, we like it because we know that you're a seasoned actor who can deliver because you're union.
Yeah.
But you've just chosen to go out on these non-union jobs. So in casting's point of view, we just care about our clients. Okay, we need our clients to be happy. We need to show them good talent. So that's where we are in the battle. We don't tell people to go FICOR or stay SAG eligible. I mean, we tell people to stay SAG eligible because that means you can do both, and you're
You're in
it shows
good
us that you're totally.
Yeah.
But so FICOR is a personal issue between actors that really needs to be
Because I don't think you can go
explored.
back or something. It's
No,
something...
they tell you can't, but you can.
Oh, really? So we got to talk more later.
John Voight has a really great. If you Google John Voight, he has a whole website about it because he's FICOR.
Oh,
really?
And he's really persona non grata around SAG now.
I want to piggyback what you said before. So they see SAG union actors as being the ones who are seasoned stuff. So how do they view, like, if you are a SAG eligible actor, how do they?
That means to us. That means you're in SAG. You just haven't paid them yet.
Yeah, pay
because
them
you're
that
because you're still
lump
going
sum
out
of
for the
money.
non-union
Yeah.
things, which is allowed when you're SAG-y.
Okay.
Yeah, but that tells us that you are a SAG person.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sweating over here.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
No, because now you can still go out for you have the best of both worlds because now you can still go out for and the thing about FICOR and all that stuff is you still don't have to go out for a 500 non-union buyout. You know what I'm saying? Like you can still say I'm worth something, and that's the problem that nobody can get together. Because no matter how low it is, somebody will do it.
Yeah,
what,
that sucks.
What non-union actors need to do, and as a whole, they need to say, "We're not working for $1,000. We're not.
Right.
We're not working for this."
Up the ante.
You know,
say
and that's
that,
the thing.
though.
But
It's
no one's going to say that
$1,000 when
because
you're
they want to be on TV,
Yeah.
and they want to get to that union level, and they want that $1,000 check.
Yeah.
So it's a really hard thing.
It is.
it's so hard. You done just, I'm finna cry over here. You done talking about what he said. I had
to
no
rally.
But I'll bring it around, take Killian's workshop,
Yes.
That's right.
and then you'll book the big SAG jobs,
That's what
and you
I'm
won't have to worry
saying.
about this discussion at all.
Okay,
what I'm
Kelly, I have
saying.
taken your workshop, and I did book a national, but I'm not.
See?
But guess what they did?
What?
A buyout.
Oh.
It was non-union national.
Yeah, because you weren't in SAG yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
you
it's
booked.
like-
But just for the record,
For the record, she booked.
No, seriously, and to piggyback off of that, like I'm with House of Reps, which is like they're top 50 commercial agents here in LA, and they're just like, so have you taken Killian's class? Because if you
Oh
haven't,
yeah,
like,
Everybody
every
says
agent.
Killian.
As soon
It's
as you
crazy.
sign with an agent,
Yeah.
the next question is, have you taken Killian's workshop? And if you haven't, they hand you a flyer that says,
Yeah.
here's all the information that you need to know.
And you go to these people for
that's
the new
kind
of
headshots,
you.
and you.
Yeah.
But Killian's class is like important, like it's like close to
It's a
like.
staple. In
Yeah, it's like almost the next closest thing to God, and I'm just being real. This is just my.
her, I love.
This is just.
It's official.
But you know what? Listen, I'm a New Yorker. I keep it a buck with you guys all the time. And seriously, viewers, this is just my experience here in LA. You know what I mean? They're like, for commercial, they need improv. You need to go to Groundlands. For commercial, you need to go to Killian. Like, it's real.
Yeah.
You should go to
Thank
both. You
you.
do need to improv, but Killian, I
Yeah.
booked actually 2 commercials right after I took
See?
it.
Yeah.
I need
Thank
to take
you.
another.
I'm trying. I try really hard. I do. I try
You're
really
doing a
hard.
great job.
I
Yeah.
try.
Yeah, no, it's
I
a
really
it's a
take other
great class.
people's dreams seriously. And
Yeah.
that's the point of view that I come from when I teach is that it's not that these people just paid this money, it's that we're talking about your dreams.
Yeah.
And I think that's
livelihood.
really serious.
One of the things that I like about your class is it makes you think, and you can tell the people who've taken a lot of your classes because they go up and they do it and you're like, damn, why didn't I think of that? Or like it's the simplest thing. Like he'll be like, you don't drive like this because you'll come
I
up
didn't
there
think about
and we're
that.
going like this, and he's like, who the hell drives like this?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, you're right. So he definitely gives you the perspective that because we do get, like you said, we get into the room and we're like,
We're in our heads.
oh my god,
Yeah, we're in our heads.
Very
So
much so.
Killian is real deal. I'm
Well,
not gonna.
I
front.
always say that when people ask because I was an actor. I stopped going out because I teach so much that it got weird. But and I don't have any time.
Weird.
And so, but I never taught from the point of view of I'm a huge booker. I teach from the point of view of casting director / director.
Yes.
You know, I've been in that room for a thousand years, and I've seen everything, and I shadow directors that I work with, and I go on set with them a lot and do those kind of things. And so I teach from the point of view of commercial director.
Yeah.
And what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And see, that's good, because when I took the workshop, afterwards, after the first day, I was like, oh my God, everything is like right there. What was I thinking about when everything that they want you to do, it's just right there.
Yeah.
I literally was like, Mom, I feel a little dumb because
right?
because
it does
now
make you feel
I've
a little
been,
stupid.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
damn,
like
why
everything
didn't
is
I realize
literally
that?
But it's
right
because
there.
you want it so badly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing. It's just you have to just tweak it, and you know. And a lot of actors have a hang up about going, especially to commercial workshops. You know, they're like, it's commercial, I don't need that. I hear that all the time when I'm out and people say, what do you do? And I think you need a commercial workshop more from what we started talking about. I think true acting ability, I don't know if that can be taught or not. I think there's probably an argument both ways, but everybody can book a commercial. That doesn't mean everybody will, but anybody can. I say that
very
in
true.
class all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's
You
so
know.
crazy. The one thing I had a call back, and when I said, you told us to say, it makes you look really professional when you go into the room and you say, what can I do? Can I use the words? Can I play with it? What's the words that you say?
Well, the non-improvised words, can I have fun with it?
Yeah,
make
can
it
I
my
have fun with it? And the
own?
director was so impressed with that. He was like, I see you know your stuff. And I knew, and it was like a lot of girls. I was going against people who I've seen on commercial. And he was like, I see you know your stuff. He was
Go
very
ahead, girl.
impressed with that. I was like, Killian.
But it's
Right?
definitely important to take a commercial class, because there's a difference between how commercials were done years ago versus what it's done now.
Yeah.
Because
And
I
that's
think
one of the problems with the commercial workshops is a lot of them
Or back in
were
those days.
from those days.
yeah, it's very like there was a certain back in the day there was a certain way that you did it. It was very uppity and very like and I think now people look for just real people,
Yeah,
like
it
real everyday
is.
people. And I think as actors we forget that. Like if you just go in as yourself, react as you would, that will put you in the line.
Well, I
to
think
get
you
booked.
also need it too, just to get out of your head, because you've been in Ivana's for 2 years and you're doing this technique, and then you come into our lobby and you're using that technique with our copy, and it's not the same thing.
Yeah,
you know, and so that's a big problem. But a lot of people have an issue with a commercial workshop.
Yeah.
Would you say you have a technique? Like, it's not exactly a technique. It's just like what you're teaching us. It's just so.
I believe that there's a technique that I'm teaching in the room.
Okay.
Yes, that's different from other people.
Yeah.
What do you call it? The Killianator.
The Killianator.
So wait, I want to talk about that though, because do you feel like because of course you have some other people that in the game that do their workshops, like Chris Game, I think does Stuart Stone have a workshop, I believe. There's
Question mark.
Question mark. A few people do though. I just want to know from the casting aspect, is there a lot of competition, or because I'm gonna be real, I went to some huge convention. I forgot what it's called. Don't quote me.
Ooh, conventions.
Yeah, for like everything acting, and somebody was like seriously bad mouthing you. I am not gonna say name, but they was just like Killian McHugh, like Killian, kill your career, and I was like, whoa, like what's
I
all
know.
of that about?
Well, you mentioned his name.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you know how it's
You
really
got it.
something. Okay, so since we get
I
into
called him after that Killian line.
so see now we get to the
at
juice.
you putting
people.
the dirt out
Pulling
there.
the dirt out there, because no, I really like commercial acting. Like I could really do that for the rest of my life, and so that's why I try to spread
I would
my
like to,
wings.
too.
And my question is, so how real is the hate or the competition or the fierceness between casting directors and you guys' workshops? And
Well, here's how I'll say it is. People are trying to make a living at this, and that's not what I was about. So I'm not in that game of competition. I just started this thing. Honestly, it was a little thing that I started, and Alyson made me.
Yeah.
And it grew and grew and grew organically because I love it.
Yeah.
And it was never about money. I just saw that I can't explain what I do. I can see what you're doing on screen. I can tweak it and make it better.
Yeah.
Okay? And so that combined with, I think, my honesty in teaching just grew.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, when you do something well,
yeah,
other people want to a part of that action or want you not to do well.
yeah,
And so people say things. about other people. And I will tell you this.
Killian's not going to hold back.
And I will say that when I called that person about that I'd heard at that, because that he was filling in for me. I was supposed to be at that. And so everybody had signed up to be
See, he
there
knows
with me.
exactly what I'm talking
No, I
about.
know, because I had a class scheduled, it was a conflict at the last minute, and I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I can't do the seminar. But they had all signed up to see me.
I
know. And so then I found out that he was bad-mouthing me at the seminar that was supposed to be taught by me.
Yours.
So I called him up and called him on it, and he said, you're so arrogant. He's like, you know, the only reason people come to you is because they book.
Duh.
No, you didn't say that.
And then I said, this is actually the dumbest conversation I've ever had. And I'm embarrassed that I called you, and good luck to you in life. And I hung up the phone, and I never got involved again in what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Do your thing. You know, McDonald's makes their hamburger, Burger King makes their hamburger, In-N-Out makes their hamburger, and there's enough hamburgers to go around for everybody. Sometimes you want a McDonald's, sometimes you're in the mood for In-N-Out.
But you know, there's levels to it, because McDonald's is still always going to be number one, Burger King is still always going to be number two, and Wendy's is
And everybody who's not
Depends on your
McDonald's
flavor.
hates on McDonald's.
That's true.
So I can't be involved in that. I just
hear
do my
that.
thing. I just
Testimony.
do my thing.
It's
But
hard
I love
being
that
at
you
the
were in the
top.
room when he said that.
So to
And
wrap.
by the way,
Go ahead.
I did say to him, you know, the first thing when you say, because another person put out a flyer, I'm better than Killian.
Wow.
And so here's the thing, guys. if you open a restaurant and your ad is, I'm better than Joe's.
Yeah.
The first thing I think of as a consumer is, who's Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like it makes me want to go to Joe.
totally. So I'm at
Seriously.
least gonna check Joe
free
out
advertising.
first.
Yeah.
So
And then compare.
Yeah, it's free advertising. So I let them say what I want. But I know almost everybody. I love everybody. I think they're all super cool, and I'm sure you could find something
humble.
from them. But I do my thing, and I do it my way, the only way I know how. And people seem to book.
So to wrap
Amen.
this up, because the Emmy music is starting to play.
Right, they're like, go
I
home
totally know that was
now.
in my head.
So for anyone that wants to get into commercial acting and pursue this and book, what is one good solid piece of advice that you can offer them?
Killian'sWorkshop.com.
Hey, there's that right there. Ding,
And
ding,
there
ding,
you
ding.
have it. Before we sign off, let everyone know where they can find you. Chloe?
Yes, hey, I'm Chloe Onyx. You can find me on Instagram at Chloe Onyx and on Twitter at Chloe Onyx11.
Lina?
I'm Lina Green, and you can find me at just Lina Green on Instagram and on Facebook.
And Killian, if people want to know about you, where they can find you, where they can take your class, where should they go?
Killian'sWorkshop.com and Killian's Workshop Facebook page, and I have Killian's Workshop Twitter.
Perfect. And of course, you guys can find me on all social media platforms at Lounging with Tony, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and also my website, loungingwithtony.com. Killian, thank you so much for coming in today.
It was a pleasure to
Awesome to see
have
you all
you.
again.
And thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you on March 21st for another episode of The Casting Call right here on Black Hollywood Live.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.